Why, hello, crochet besties. My name is Raine. I am a self-taught crocheter. It has been almost 3 years since I taught myself how to do this. And you know what? Today I wanted to try something. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't looked up if this is a thing that people have already done. I just had an idea, and we're gonna go with it. So, what we are doing today, guys, is if you do any kind of color work, tapestry work, you will know that if you make a mistake and you do the wrong color, and you do not realize until 5, 6, 7 rows later, it's not like you can just keep going and then forget about that mistake like it never happened. No, that mistake, it will haunt you, okay? And if you're like me and you don't want to frog 3 hours of work, you're just like, we'll fix it post-production. We can fix it later, right? Oh, the perks of being blind. Why are eyes so expensive? Like and subscribe to the videos so I can buy a new pair of glasses. Anyway, if you do any tapestry work and you make a mistake, that's not something that you're able to live with. So I think this is a perfect example. This is the one that I'm working on now. Handsome Squidward, yes. And no, it is not done. Okay? I was going to finish it last night, but Yo Bing needed sleep. So here we are. I messed up. I messed up right here. This square is supposed to be a black square. And usually what I'll do is I'll take the color that is needed and I'll just essentially like wrap it around that stitch to turn it into a different color. But if you look close enough, you're able to see that it's just one color wrapped around another. So that's a quick fix for after you're done, you know, for like a personal project. But if you're like working on a gift for somebody and you don't want to leave that mistake in, today we are going to try to take out this existing green stitch, cut it out, and then put a new stitch back in and stitch it back into place like it was there the whole time. Now, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure this is something somebody has already done before. We're going into this blind. I have not looked up a thing. I have not looked up if this is something that other crocheters have already done. I have not looked up techniques. I have not looked up anything. We're just gonna wing it. So here's the plan. What we're gonna do is, if you look at the stitch, okay, you can see all the areas that connect to the other stitches. Okay, so like here, we have the blue going through these set of loops. And then down here, we have green going through these set of loops. So our first part of the plan is we're gonna take some different colored thread and we are going to thread that around all the loops around this existing stitch to keep them open. Now, if we use yarn, it could pull things tight, so I feel like maybe that's not a good idea. I feel like maybe instead we should just use some embroidery needles. Let's take a T-pen. First things first is we need to locate all of the areas where this current stitch is through. So we have a set of loops right here. You'll see right here that the chain is through this set of loops. So we're gonna put this like that, okay, through all those loops to hold that in place, right? So I'm going to put this pin here through this loop like that. This is where it's going to get a little tricky because these squares next to it are also green. I think this is the only loop that this last set is through, which is right here. So let's put kind of like, all right, I think we got all the loops secured. Scary part, because I might fuck up this whole thing, you know, I might fuck up this entire thing and then I have to restart 15 hours of work. Ha! No pressure. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna cut out this stitch, this existing stitch. You have to be careful because you don't want to cut. You don't want to cut any other existing loop, right? So you just want to cut out that one stitch, that one square. We're being innovators here, y'all, okay? We're figuring this out. So there might be some spots where we're going to keep this green. Before I pull that out, there's actually a little loop right here I don't think we have secured. This loop right here is the loop that we need to secure. flip this over, there you go. That's the loose thread. So you're gonna wanna keep that out so you can weave that in later. We need to get this stitch out. So we're gonna meticulously pick out all the little doodads. We found the string that is connected to this stitch over here. So what I'm gonna do, this is a little short, so I think we're gonna have to tie some more yarn to that spot. That way it doesn't unravel, because we don't want this to be too short, you know? I'm just gonna use a different color. I don't think it matters if that color is green or not, because it's gonna get weaved in regardless, you know? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna tie this. The ends don't have to be perfectly weaved in, like if you were doing a wearable or a blanket. It need to be secure enough so, you know, moving it around isn't gonna take off the ends or, you know, whatever it is that you weaved in. So give me a minute. You know what, honestly, I was gonna do the magic knot, but let's just tie it. Pull on it pretty securely. I don't think it's gonna come undone. So now we'll be able to weave this in later. I'm just gonna cut the excess, leave that hanging out. That way we can take care of that later. So now we still need to get the rest of the stitch out. So I think we can do that here. This also looks like a little knot that we need to, a little loop that we need to keep. So I'm gonna stick another spot right here, because I think we're gonna need to loop that little loop later on. All right, so we got that. The stitch is out, guys. The stitch is out. We have extracted the tumor, the cancer. All right, so there we go. The stitch is out. See, we have a little space now. The stitch is gone. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a black stitch in here. So my plan, okay, is I'm just gonna chain 3 and then 3 double crochets. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to weave in the edge of that square into all of the loops that we have blocked off with the needles in the area, right? So I have some black right here that I'm going to use. I can just cut it off of the existing project, and we will use a magic knot later to reattach. This is the next step in the plan. Like, I literally had dreams about this, and I thought it's a good idea, you know, if you want something that looks a little more seamless to the eye. I think the best outcome here is that we're going to even be able to fool seasoned crocheters that we did not perform surgery on our piece. Okay, so if you look at other stitches, this little chain right here was where the square was connected. So that means we're going to put the stitch in like you would when you're working corner to corner, basically, which is in this chain 3 space. So let's get that in the chain 3 space. Okay. And you're going to gotta be careful not to pull out any of the existing pins that we have in place to hold all that. So you're gonna chain 3, and you're gonna do 3 double crochets, which is how you would do a square for corner to corner using double crochets. Because I know with corner to corner you don't have to do double crochet. You can do half double crochet. There's different stitches you can do to make the square, which is cool. You know, you can basically test things out if you wanted to. Be innovative, you know, create new things. So we did that 3 double crochet. We're going to finish off the stitch. All right, so now we have the stitch. It's just wild and free. So the next thing we have to do is we have to weave it in to this spot. And ta-da, look. It's fixed. You know what I just realized that I did, guys? That's not the stitch we were supposed to take out. This was the stitch we were supposed to take out. It's fine. It's fine. I think we can leave this. I think we'll leave that. It's fine. It makes sense. But y'all, I feel so dumb. So this is a malpractice lawsuit waiting to happen, you know? It's like when you're it's like when you're removing someone's kidney and you remove the wrong kidney, right? See, that's the good thing about crochet is we are human, so we are going to make mistakes. I think this is a perfect example of those mistakes that we make. So, hey, that's fine. Let's sew in this square. And we got practice to do it again. We're going to put these ends through here. And now what we have to do is we got to fix our mistake. First of all, so nobody knows. Because let's face it, I mean, doctors are humans. How many of them make a mistake, it never gets caught, and they don't ever get sued for malpractice? You know? Loop. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to, let's come from the bottom so we can tie in the back, right? Stick that through there. Ta-da! Alright. So now, we're going to move all these over because we're going to have to secure those later. We're going to follow this go through all of these loops. So like once you do that, you can remove the pin, right? So now what I'm going to do is we're going to put this through the back and we're going to tie it in the back so we have some security. So I'm just going to knot it, double knot. It doesn't need to be anything fancy, okay? Because like I said, this isn't going through the wash. I feel like if you're doing like a wearable or something like a blanket that you're going to throw in the wash, then you would probably need to leave some long ends so you can weave those long ends in so the knot does not come undone. Alright, so after you do that, we are going to go back in through the front so I can see what I'm doing. So there's a loop right here that we need to put our yarn through. So once we do that, we're going to take out this T-pin because that loop is secure. Right. Perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we need to get these little woobly ends that are sticking out. I feel like we could take those out, but at the same time, I don't know if I want to take those out. So I think we're just going to leave them and try to poke them through. See, this is where felting can come in handy. I've never felted before, but I know that some people choose to felt in their ends over weaving them. I think that might be good in this situation, since that end is too small to weave in. All right. So there's that. Okay, we did that. Now, there's one last little loop that we need to go through, and we're going to go this way. So you can take out that T-pin. Ta-da! You have now gone through all those loops and have secured all those areas around the existing stitch. Now we need to go through and attach this square to the existing loops around it. So we're just going to weave in like this. I think that'll work just fine. Weave it, right? Weave it, weave it. Go through to start sentences and then not finish them because I have the brain of a squirrel. And then one last little weave through to secure this square like that. Ta-da! And there you go. There you have it. You change the square out for another square. I mean, it's not perfect for our first time just winging something like this. I think it looks pretty good. But now what we're going to do is we're going to do take 2. And we're going to cut out the proper square this time. Please don't sue me, handsome Squidward, okay? I don't make enough money to be sued. I need my car, I need my house. Alright, there we go. So this is another loose end. I'm just gonna tie this, to be honest. It doesn't matter, okay? And at the end of the day, if you knot it well enough and you really want to cover the back, you can line the back of your tapestry with fabric. That's something else that I can teach you guys how to do. It's honestly really easy. Super, super easy way to go. And then here's another end that I'm just going to tie. This is why I line the back of my corner-to-corner blankets that I make, because honestly, it's just easier. You just go through and you weave in the ends that you want to weave in, and then you can leave the ones that are a little more secure. Just throw it back on the blanket, and it hides all those ends that you don't want to weave in. All right, so there we go, guys. We did it. So we did that. Right? I think it looks pretty nice. You can't tell that that was green before. I feel like unless you look a little closer and you can see the fact that the stitch is laying a little differently compared to the rest, then you might be able to notice. But anyone who doesn't crochet, they're not going to notice. Guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and put all the T-pins in an area where we know that the current stitch loops through. So you have this area of loops right here that we need to put alright, so we have that. And then we have this little loop right here that needs a T-pin. Okay. And now, if you look here, the stitch is attached right here. So we're going to put a T-pin in right there. And now this final area, which is over here, I believe it's going to be this set of loops right here, these two right here. So we're going to put the T-pin through those loops. All right, so inspect carefully. Okay, you want to make sure that anywhere that is supporting this stitch has a pin or something through it, right? I think we did that fine, because if we look, all of the loops attached to the stitch have a T-pin in it. So now we're gonna extract the right stitch this time. All right, we're learning. We're not a noob surgeon anymore. So let's cut out that stitch. You have to be careful not to cut the existing colors that are underneath. So you definitely want to take your time to do this. Let's see, I got some of the blue, so we're gonna back out. Oh, actually that is green, we're good, we can cut that. Alright, so we have part of the stitch out. I'm gonna cut down here. Oh, see, and that's another thing. We need to remember to leave enough of the existing color. So these two pieces are two pieces that are connected to the other existing stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie them back here, just so we have some security, right? This end is a little short, but I think with some patience and some amazing hand dexterity, I think we can get at least a knot in there. There you go. And if you want to be extra secure about it, you can always take a sewing needle and some thread and stitch through that knot a couple times so it doesn't come undone. If you really want, if you have anxiety like me, you're going to want to take extra steps like that to ensure that these things don't unravel, because it sucks when you spend 20 hours on something and, you know, you didn't weave something well enough or it comes undone, which happens a lot when you're learning. Don't get me wrong. You should see some of my early projects. They do not look awesome like my crocheting does now. Okay, so we got the stitch out, right? We got the stitch out. We're gonna do the same thing that we did, where we're gonna find the chain 3 space that you start your next square on. So we're just gonna do a slip stitch, put that on your hook. Now, when you look, the chain 3 space is right here. Be careful not to poke yourself because you have all these T-pins sticking out of the area, right? Like I was like slip stitch, and then it didn't even slip stitch. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach that, right? Be careful not to remove any of the T-pins. If you do remove a T-pin, as long as you don't jostle the project around too much, you could take an embroidery needle and probably thread through the loop before it falls into the project. You know, but like I said, with a little patience, I think anyone can figure this out through the mistakes, you know? That's the beautiful thing about crochet. There's a lot of mistakes in the journey. There's a lot of oopsies. Even someone who's been crocheting for 10 years will make a mistake. I feel like especially as you get into it later and it becomes a little more mindless, if you're not paying attention, you will make a mistake, and that's fine. Okay, so we did the 3 double crochets, and now we're going to fasten off the stitch, right? So we cleared that off. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the existing end this time and weave it in instead of adding a whole new yarn to add to use to weave. So we're just going to do this. So there, right here, there is a loop. So we're going to weave this through this loop. Okay, so you can remove that T-pin. Okay, so we connected that square, and now we need to go through all of the other areas where there is a T-pin, but I'm going to do it through the front because I can't really see too well from the back. So we're going to locate this other T-pin, which I think is right here. Oh yeah, it's right there. So first let me just weave this right here. Okay, so now we can go through this stitch right here, like that. Sorry, I was like out of the camera. And then you can remove the T-pin. Alright, so this we can poke through the other side because that's just a loose end from the stitch that was connected to the stitch that we took out, right? So this is the last area we need to weave through. You want to make sure that you weave through all the loops. Although I feel like if you miss a loop right here, it's not going to be the end of the world. So you can take that out. Ta-da! Beautiful. Alright, so I feel like that one, we did that one a lot faster that time. It only took like 10 minutes. So I'm gonna connect this stitch here, right? Connect it through there. And then we're gonna tie these ends together to secure that area, right? So the back might look like a little bit of a nightmare with all the ends and everything that we have now added. I'm gonna cut these. They don't need to be so long. But when you look at the front, actually, this is another end that you need to poke through. So I think I'm just gonna do this. Any loose end that you need to secure, if you really, like I said before, if you really want to make sure that your ends are super secure, you can use sewing thread and a needle to sew through the fibers of the yarn. There you go. Okay, so we pulled that through to the other side, right? But now you can look. I think it was right here. This was the stitch that we took out and replaced. And you can't even tell. I'm like, maybe we should take this stitch out. Malpractice lawsuit 101. So yeah, there we have it, guys. We did it. We took it out. I'm gonna leave that. I love how we were trying to fix a mistake and therefore have created another one. But you know, if you're new to crochet and you want to get started but you're scared of making mistakes, just know that mistakes are inevitable. They're gonna happen no matter what. There's a belief that if you make a mistake, you're supposed to leave it in your project because you're leaving a part of your soul behind in the project, you know? Like, humans make mistakes. It's okay. The question is, can you live with that mistake? Or do you need to frog hours of work to fix it? Well, if you want to fix it, you don't have to frog hours and hours and hours of work, okay? You can just fix it post, production. So there you have it, guys. We performed crochet surgery. We fixed that square. It looks much better now. Alrighty, crochet besties, so there you have it. We can, in fact, perform crochet surgery to fix a mistake when you're done. And all you need is 20 minutes and some patience. Honestly, that's better than the alternative, frogging 3 hours of work and then that being your 13th reason, because who wants to do that? So subscribe, follow for more if you want to see this finished project. It will be a short as soon as I'm done. I do plan on finishing it today. And then leave in the comments if there's another meme that you want me to crochet. I have a couple that are planned, and we're going to add them to the crochet wall across my dining room. All right, little crochet goblin, go and create. Go and make something beautiful. Share it to the world. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. And even if you do make a mistake, you can always get creative and think of other ways to fix it, like we did today. Come on, bestie. Get out of here. Go crochet. That's it. All right. Bye.